Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into, is your technology up to speed? It's an article from Pharmacy Technology and Management Review, and this deep dive is tailored for pharmacy owners and decision makers just like you.
Sounds good.
We're going to be exploring the potential of specialty services in retail pharmacy and really examining if current pharmacy technology can even handle this challenge.
Yeah, this article really highlights the demanding nature of specialty pharmacy right off the bat. It's this whole ecosystem that requires such precision, efficiency, and patient-centric care.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The article brings in Chris Antipas, PharmD, founder and president of Paragon Pharmacy 360, to talk about this challenging environment. Antipas argues that specialty pharmacy really needs this proactive approach to patient management.
Yeah, and he really emphasizes that it goes way beyond just like traditional refill management.
Right.
Pharmacies need systems that can track medications and patients through a multi-step process.
Yeah.
Because specialty pharmacy often starts with a referral, not an actual prescription.
So the pharmacy has to confirm they can even dispense the referral before it even becomes a prescription.
Exactly. And that confirmation process, it can be pretty intricate.
Wow.
And then the article goes on to discuss one of the biggest hurdles.
Oh, I know it's coming.
Insurance, every time. Yep, Antipas explains that pharmacies need a really reliable workflow to determine if a medication is even covered under the pharmacy benefit or the medical benefit.
That makes sense.
And he suggests running these test claims just to make sure
To be sure.
that the pharmacy has the right information and to avoid those billing surprises.
Good point. The article then dives into prior authorizations,
Oh, yeah.
which Antipas says are required for most specialty prescriptions.
And not only do pharmacies need a system to flag, like, when a prior authorization is needed,
Yeah.
but they also need one to tell them where to even send the clinical information.
Wow.
And we can't forget about those high copays that often come with specialty medications.
Yeah. The article really emphasizes that pharmacies need systems in place to research and track patient assistance programs.
It really all comes down to having technology that can organize and track all these steps.
So patients don't fall through the cracks.
Exactly. And this is where the data collection comes in.
Yeah.
The article says that just your traditional patient engagement strategies like MedSync might not be enough for specialty pharmacy.
Makes sense.
Antipas even says that specialty pharmacies really need systems to track the entire patient journey.
Wow. The whole thing.
From onboarding to ongoing case management. Knowing where a patient is in that whole process is critical.
Yeah, not only for the pharmacy itself, but for other people involved, like pharmaceutical manufacturers who need that really detailed prescription outcome data.
The article then brings in a real-world example.
Oh, perfect.
Featuring Ranan Ching, PharmD.
Okay.
He's the president and chief pharmacy officer at Tarrytown Pharmacy in Austin, Texas.
Okay, I've heard of them.
And Ching's experience, it really shows what happens when you're using an outdated system in the specialty pharmacy world.
Interesting.
Their old system just couldn't keep up with all the documentation needed for these specialty patients.
So they didn't have the tools they needed.
They didn't have the robust documentation or the built-in workflows that you get with a modern system.
Yeah, they were really missing out.
They ended up switching over to Pioneer Arcs,
Okay.
which is a pharmacy management system with specialty-specific functionalities.
So that gave them what they needed.
Ching says this transition gave them the tools to really navigate this whole specialty pharmacy world efficiently and provide great care to patients. Yeah, documentation is so important. And Ching actually sees it as the foundation for any specialty pharmacy.
He makes a really good point. Yeah, he outlines 3 reasons why documentation is essential.
Okay, let's hear them.
Audit protection, efficient workflow management, and accurate recording of patient education.
Okay, let's start with audit protection. Specialty pharmacies, they're at a higher risk of audits than regular pharmacies, and robust documentation is critical for showing that they're compliant with all the rules.
Yeah, it's like a paper trail.
Exactly. It shows every step in the patient's journey, from communicating with doctors to verifying insurance to using the correct billing codes. Next up is efficient workflow management. Having complete and easy-to-access documentation ensures that prescriptions are processed quickly.
Yeah.
Staff need to be able to track the status of orders and have all the information they need.
To avoid any delays or mix-ups.
Exactly. And finally,
Patient education.
Ching stresses how important it is to document patient education, especially for complex medications.
Because those medications might have complicated administration procedures.
or they could have potential side effects.
Documenting those interactions helps ensure patient safety and that they're taking their medications correctly.
Definitely. And then the article goes on to discuss another crucial aspect of specialty pharmacy: clinical management programs.
Okay.
These programs are often required by organizations like URAC and the Accreditation Commission for Healthcare,
Gotcha.
and they require pharmacies to create these detailed care plans for their patients based on their condition and how their treatment is going.
So pharmacies need technology that can manage all of that.
Yeah, Antipus highlights the need for systems that can handle these clinical engagements and alert the staff about any potential problems.
And all the systems need to be able to talk to each other.
Exactly. Interoperability is key to creating a seamless and patient-centric experience.
Now, one thing the article points out is that even if a pharmacy successfully onboards a patient, they might not actually be able to dispense the medication.
Oh, wow.
This could be because of insurance requirements or if the drug has limited distribution. So in those cases, pharmacies often have to transfer the prescription.
And that's where being a good partner is really important.
Ching actually talks about the value of partner pharmacies, especially when it comes to prior authorizations, even if they end up transferring the prescription to a larger specialty pharmacy.
Now, this brings us to a fear that a lot of pharmacies have:
Losing their patients.
losing their patients to those big specialty pharmacies.
It makes sense to be worried about that.
But Antipus addresses this concern, saying that those large specialty pharmacies really just focus on dispensing specialty medications.
That's their main thing.
They're usually not that interested in handling a patient's other medications.
The regular ones.
But the article does emphasize the importance of making the transition smooth for the patient, even when transferring prescriptions to a competitor.
So they don't fall through the cracks.
Antipus is concerned that patients might not get the care they need if the new pharmacy doesn't reach out to them proactively.
And he points out that specialty medications don't always lead to that stable patient base that you see with maintenance medications.
Because conditions like hepatitis C are often treated with a one-time treatment. And that means specialty pharmacies are always onboarding new patients.
So doing that well is super important.
Exactly. And since specialty pharmacy needs this high-touch approach, the article takes a look at how Paragon Pharmacy is engaging their patients.
Okay, interesting.
They've created their own hardware and software platform to improve communication and engagement with their patients.
That's impressive.
This platform uses patient data to communicate with them through text messages, push notifications, and a smartphone app.
So they can really stay connected.
They can share important information, answer questions, and address concerns in a way that's easy for patients and really creates a personalized experience.
And as we talked about before, they even use this system to provide real-time shipment tracking information.
That's really helpful for those critical medications.
The article then shifts gears and talks about a technology that could be a real game changer.
What's that?
Remote patient monitoring, or RPM. Ching has actually implemented RPM at Tarrytown Pharmacy.
Oh.
And he says it's really simplified the patient experience while benefiting both the pharmacy and the provider.
How?
For example, there's this patient who uses a blood pressure monitor at home.
Okay.
And instead of having to write down their readings,
Yeah.
the device automatically sends the data to a secure RPM platform.
So much easier.
The platform then creates these customizable reports so providers can see the data in different ways, like weekly or monthly averages.
That's great.
So providers can make decisions based on the data and adjust treatment plans as needed.
Really tailoring it to the patient.
Ching says RPM is a really powerful tool for collaboration between patients, providers, and pharmacies.
It really brings everyone together.
He even says RPM is a powerful tool for collaboration between patients, providers, and pharmacies. By harnessing the power of RPM, healthcare professionals can move beyond fragmented data points and gain a holistic understanding of a patient's health. This paves the way for more effective treatment plans and ultimately better patient outcomes.
That's a great quote.
So we've seen how technology like RPM can play a key role in specialty pharmacy.
Uh-huh.
But the article highlights a common misconception,
What's that?
that specialty pharmacy is just about dispensing high-cost drugs.
Antipus really emphasizes that specialty pharmacy is so much more than that.
It's really about patient management, navigating complex insurance requirements, and adhering to these strict clinical guidelines.
Pharmacies need to be ready for all that.
Exactly. They need to understand what payers and manufacturers expect from them, including specific requirements and performance metrics.
And being able to meet those expectations often depends on having the right documentation practices and technology systems.
Antipus says pharmacies need to go beyond just those standard monthly reports.
And provide real-time data access for manufacturers and payers.
Paragon Pharmacy is a perfect example of that.
Okay.
They have a system that lets manufacturers track prescriptions in real time.
Wow.
And they even have patient self-service questionnaires that can automatically flag potential issues.
That kind of transparency and real-time insight is so important in the specialty pharmacy world.
Absolutely.
Speaking of real-time insights, let's talk about the financial side of specialty pharmacy.
Yeah, the article uses remote patient monitoring, RPM as an example,
Okay.
to show how pharmacies can get paid for the specialized services they're providing.
Both Medicare and commercial insurance reimburse for RPM services.
Oh, that's good.
But there's a little catch.
Oh.
The billing has to be done under a physician's supervision.
Oh, I see. So partnerships are important here.
Exactly. Having that strong partnership with a physician is key for pharmacies looking to offer RPM and actually get reimbursed for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ching explains how Tarrytown Pharmacy partnered with a preventative medicine physician who was really passionate about RPM. This collaboration let them bill for RPM services. But it also opened up some doors for expansion.
Like what?
They were able to establish those virtual patient-physician relationships through telehealth, which expanded their reach.
That's really interesting.
And they're even looking at collaborating with other pharmacies across the state.
Wow, that's great.
For patient management and joint care efforts. It's a cool example of thinking outside the box and finding success in this complex specialty pharmacy world.
It really shows how much potential there is.
And the article emphasizes that pharmacies need this kind of strategic approach if they're even thinking about getting into specialty pharmacy.
It's not a light decision.
Not at all. Chris Antipus even cautions that technology is only one piece of the puzzle.
There's more.
Pharmacies really need to consider the economics of specialty pharmacy.
Quite.
Things like the sometimes thin margins that come with these high-cost medications.
That's a good point.
Ching reinforces this, and it advises pharmacies to really do their research.
Research on what?
On their local payer mix.
Okay.
And identify any potential challenges.
Like what?
Things like mandatory specialty mail order.
Those kinds of things?
He also suggests exploring opportunities to work directly with payers or through organizations like PSAOs or cooperatives.
Pharmacies really need to do their homework first.
Absolutely. They need a solid plan that considers both the operational and financial demands of specialty pharmacy.
That makes sense.
Now, let's go back to one of the most crucial parts of specialty pharmacy.
Patient engagement.
We touched on it earlier with Paragon Pharmacy's tech platform, but the article really dives deeper into the high-touch nature of this field.
Yeah, specialty medications often treat conditions.
Right, yeah.
And those often require consistent monitoring and support.
Definitely. And that level of engagement might be more than traditional patient engagement tools can handle.
Even those built into modern pharmacy management systems.
Antipus brings up Paragon Pharmacy again as an example.
Yeah.
Their in-house solution uses text messages, push notifications, and a smartphone app to talk to patients.
I like that. It sounds easy to use.
This way they can share important info, answer questions, and address concerns, all in a way that's convenient for patients.
So they feel more cared for.
And as we said before, they even use this system for real-time shipment tracking,
Keeping patients in the loop.
which can really help ease anxiety around those critical medications.
It's a great way to use technology to improve communication and the patient journey.
Speaking of which, let's go back to remote patient monitoring, or RPM.
Oh yeah, RPM.
The article highlights how RPM can really change patient care.
Especially for those managing chronic conditions.
Makes things simpler for patients.
And provides valuable insights for both the pharmacy and provider.
Remember the example of the blood pressure monitor we discussed earlier?
The one that sends readings to the RPM platform.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember.
That platform then creates customizable reports, so providers get a really comprehensive view of the patient's health.
It's more than just blood pressure, right?
RPM can track all sorts of health metrics, giving a much more complete picture of the patient's condition.
And since the data is collected and analyzed automatically,
it takes away the burden of manual entry and allows for real-time monitoring.
That's a huge time saver.
Ching emphasizes that this real-time data really empowers providers.
How?
They can make more informed decisions and adjust treatment plans as needed.
That leads to much more personalized and effective care.
And he sees RPM as a truly collaborative tool that closes the gap between patients, providers, and pharmacies.
I can see that.
He's not alone in this view. More and more people are realizing that RPM has the potential to revolutionize healthcare.
Especially for specialty pharmacy.
Now, as we've been talking about, specialty pharmacy isn't just about those high-cost drugs.
Antipus really wants to drive that point home.
He emphasizes that it's all about patient management, handling those complex insurance requirements, and making sure those strict clinical guidelines are followed.
Pharmacies need to understand all of that if they want to get into specialty pharmacy.
It's critical for them to know what payers and manufacturers expect,
including any specific requirements or performance metrics.
and being able to show they're meeting those expectations.
Often depends on having the right documentation and technology.
Antipus even argues that pharmacies need to move past those traditional monthly reports
to give manufacturers and payers real-time data access.
Paragon Pharmacy's technology platform is a great example.
Okay.
They have a system that lets manufacturers track prescriptions in real time.
Wow, in real time.
And they have those patient self-service questionnaires that flag potential problems.
That level of transparency is amazing.
It shows a real commitment to quality care and good outcomes.
Now, we've covered a lot in this episode, but there's one more thing we need to talk about.
What's that?
The pharmacy staff.
They're the ones who make this all work. Okay.
We've talked about all the demands of specialty pharmacy, the technology, the data.
Yeah.
But now let's focus on the people.
The ones who make it all happen.
The pharmacy staff, they're the ones on the front lines, interacting with patients.
And making sure everything runs smoothly.
Now, the article doesn't specifically talk about staff training and development.
Okay.
But it's clear that it's super important for specialty pharmacy success.
Oh, absolutely. Even with the most advanced technology, it's only as good as the people using it.
That's a good point.
Pharmacies need to train their staff to handle all those complexities of specialty medications.
Yeah, the insurance.
Patient communication, care coordination, all of it.
And it's not just initial training. It's got to be ongoing.
Continuous learning, keeping up with all the changes.
Because new medications, regulations, and technologies are always popping up.
All the time, you got to stay ahead of the curve.
So what specific skills and knowledge does a pharmacy staff need to really thrive in this specialty world?
First off, they need a deep understanding of specialty medications.
Of course.
But it's more than just memorizing facts. They need to know the indications, mechanisms of action,
side effects,
administration requirements, the whole 9 yards.
And they need to apply that knowledge to each patient.
Provide personalized counseling and education.
So strong communication is key.
Both written and verbal, building trust with those patients, addressing concerns.
Empowering patients to manage their own care.
That's the goal.
And then there's insurance. That never goes away.
Prior authorizations, benefit verifications, appeals, it's a whole other beast.
It sounds like a specialty pharmacy technician needs to be part pharmacist, part insurance expert.
And part patient advocate.
It's a lot.
It's a demanding role, requires you to be adaptable, resourceful.
Compassion.
You got to be able to think on your feet and really care about those patients.
So how can pharmacies build a team that can handle all of that?
Start by hiring the right people.
People who are knowledgeable and passionate.
And eager to learn.
And then give them the support they need.
Training, mentorship.
Professional development.
A positive work environment where they feel valued.
And technology can help too.
Oh yeah, user-friendly systems can streamline those workflows, free up more time for patient care.
So it's clear that success in specialty pharmacy requires a lot.
It's multifaceted, you need the right technology, documentation practices.
Understanding insurance, and most importantly, a great team.
Investing in your staff is crucial.
A well-trained and dedicated team is what makes it all work.
They're the heart of it all.
So as you think about whether specialty pharmacy is right for you, remember that technology is only one piece.
Building a team that can handle the demands of this specialty is just as important.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of specialty pharmacy. We hope you learned a lot.
And we'll see you next time.